The air was heavy and silent when the human explorer stepped out of his ship. He had landed on a planet no one had ever seen before. The sky was a strange pale green, and the ground was covered with glowing plants that pulsed with soft blue light. For a moment, he thought the planet was empty. But something in his chest told him he was not alone. His name was Daniel. And he had been traveling through deep space for many years. His ship had been damaged by an asteroid storm, and he was forced to land here to make repairs. At first, he only wanted to find water and food. But soon he felt eyes watching him from the trees. Every step he took seemed louder than it should be, and the silence of the forest pressed against his ears. Daniel stopped near a broken tree and looked around. He saw no animals, no birds, nothing that moved, but then a voice cut through the silence. A small voice, soft and clear. It was not the voice of a man or a woman, but the voice of a child. "Human," the voice said. "Are you single?" Daniel froze. He had heard many strange things in his journeys, but never a question like that. Slowly, he turned toward the sound, and there, standing between two glowing trees, was a child. The child did not look human. Its skin glowed faintly. Like silver light beneath water, its hair was long and white, shining like threads of ice. Its eyes were large and bright, like two moons reflecting the stars. The child looked at him with a strange mix of hope and fear. Daniel tried to speak, but his mouth was dry. "What did you just say?" he asked, his voice rough. The child tilted its head, then repeated in clear English, "Are you single? You must be, right?" Daniel blinked, unsure if he had lost his mind. "Why does that matter?" he asked. The child stepped closer, its small bare feet making no sound on the soil. "My mom is very kind," the child said. "You have to marry her." Daniel almost laughed, but the fear in the child's glowing eyes stopped him. This was not a joke, not a game. The child was serious. He felt his heart beating faster as he looked around. If there was a child, then surely there were others nearby. He asked carefully, "Where is your mother?" The child's face turned sad. "She is waiting. But she is weak. She is sick. If you don't marry her, she will die." Daniel took a step back, unsure what to say. He wanted to believe this was some kind of translation error, maybe the child's language did not have the right words, but the English was clear and the meaning was strong. The child's voice shook, as if every second was important. "Please, human," the child whispered. "Come with me." Daniel felt torn. He was a soldier once. Before he became an explorer, he had faced dangers, fought enemies, and seen death up close, but this was different. This was not a fight with guns or blades. This was a strange request from a child who looked like no human child could ever look. Still, something in his heart told him he could not turn away. Even if it was a trick, he needed to know the truth. He nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "Show me where your mother is." The child's eyes brightened with hope, and it reached out its small, glowing hand. Daniel hesitated, then gently took it. The touch was warm and soft. But he felt something else too, a strange pulse, like energy flowing through his skin. It was not painful, but it made his arm tingle. The child looked up at him and whispered, "Thank you, human." Together, they began to walk deeper into the forest. The glowing plants seemed to bend toward them, as if guiding the way. The air grew colder, and shadows stretched longer across the ground. Daniel kept his hand close to his belt where his scanner hung, ready for danger. But the child seemed calm, almost desperate to reach its mother. After a long walk, Daniel saw lights ahead. Not the glow of plants, but the glow of fires. Shapes moved between the trees, tall, thin figures with long hair and glowing eyes. They watched him silently as he passed, but none of them spoke. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. He was deep inside a village of aliens. and he did not know if they were friends or enemies. The child squeezed his hand tighter, leading him toward a small wooden shelter at the center of the camp. The air was heavy, and Daniel could feel many eyes on him. Inside the shelter, lying on a bed made of soft, glowing moss, was the child's mother. She was tall and beautiful, her skin shimmering like moonlight, her hair falling across her shoulders like silver water. But her face was pale, her body weak, and her eyes half closed when she looked at Daniel. A spark of surprise lit her tired face. The child knelt beside her and whispered, "Mama?" The human came. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no idea what kind of story he had just stepped into. But one thing was certain. This was only the beginning. Daniel stood still, his eyes fixed on the alien woman lying weakly on the moss bed. The air inside the shelter was heavy, carrying a faint scent of smoke and strange flowers. The mother opened her eyes fully for a brief moment, and Daniel saw something both human and alien in them. Her gaze was sharp yet soft, fragile yet strong, as if she had lived through pain that words could not carry. The child leaned close to her and whispered, "Mama, he came. The human came." The woman's lips trembled as she tried to sit up, but her body was too weak. Her voice was low, broken by exhaustion, yet filled with warmth. "Child, you should not have brought him here. It is too dangerous." The words were meant to scold, but her tone was like a lullaby. Daniel could not help but feel a strange pull toward her. Something about her presence filled the small shelter with light. Even though her strength was fading, the child looked back at Daniel, desperation glowing in their silver eyes. "Human," the child said firmly. "You must marry her, please. You must, or she will die." Daniel's throat tightened. He had faced enemies before, storms, fire, even the cold silence of space. But this request was unlike anything he had ever heard. He almost wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it. Yet the pain in the child's voice kept him silent. He finally spoke, his voice calm but steady. "Listen, T, I don't understand what you mean. How can marriage save her life?" The child hesitated, then lowered their head. "She is fading. Because she is not bonded, without a bond, our people cannot live long. Her heart will stop. Her light will go out." Daniel frowned, confused but curious. "Bonded? You mean with another of your kind?" The child shook their head quickly. "No, not with our kind. We are too weak now. Only with a human. Only you." The word sent a chill down Daniel's spine. Why him? Why humans? What made them believe he was the answer? The mother lifted her trembling hand and touched the child's shoulder. "Stop, little one. You should not force him. The human owes us nothing." Her voice was soft, almost broken, but filled with dignity. She turned her eyes to Daniel, and he saw tears hidden behind her calm. "If you leave now, I will not blame you. Stranger, it is not your burden to carry." Daniel felt a storm rising inside him. He wanted to walk away, to return to his ship. But the child's tiny hands grabbed his sleeve, clinging as if letting go meant death itself. The child's voice shook with fear. "Please, human, don't go. Don't leave us." The plea cut deep into Daniel's heart. He had once been a soldier. He had seen children cry before. Children begging for help in war-torn cities. He had promised himself long ago that if he could help, he would never walk away again. He knelt down to meet the child's glowing eyes. "Tell me the truth, all of it," he said. "Why do you believe I can save her?" The child's face lit with both fear and hope. "Our people were once strong. We could live for many lifetimes, but then the hunters came. They poisoned our lands, killed our fathers, and broke the bonds. Without bonds, we fade. We die slowly." Daniel listened carefully, his jaw tight. The child's words were simple. but the weight behind them was heavy. The mother lowered her gaze, ashamed. "My people, hide now. Broken and afraid, I have only my child left, but soon even they will be alone." The silence in the room grew sharp. Outside, the forest whispered with distant voices. Other villagers stood in shadows, watching the human with unreadable eyes. Daniel felt the tension pressing on him from all sides. He had come to this planet by accident. He only wanted to fix his ship and leave. But now he was being asked to make a choice bigger than survival, a choice that could change the fate of lives. He barely understood. He took a deep breath and said carefully, "Marriage? A bond. What does it mean in your world?" The child answered quickly, "It means safety. It means life. When you bond, your light becomes her light. Your strength becomes her strength. The hunters cannot break a true bond." Daniel stared at them, his heart racing. Hunters, enemies, bonds. Life and death, it was too much, too fast. But as he looked at the mother again, lying weak, yet proud, he realized this was not just about one woman. It was about an entire people on the edge of extinction. The mother met his eyes once more, her voice soft. "You should not risk your future for us, human. But if you choose to stay, know that it will not be easy. The hunters will come, and they will not stop." Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. He could walk away, return to his ship, and pretend none of this was real. But the memory of the child's trembling voice and desperate grip burned into him. Somewhere deep inside, he already knew his answer. Before he could speak it, however, a sound tore through the night. A long, sharp howl that echoed across the forest. The villagers outside gasped and rushed to light torches. The child froze, their small body trembling. "They are here," the child whispered, eyes wide with terror. "The hunters have found us." Daniel's hand instinctively went to his weapon. The mother's weak voice rose, urgent and sharp. "Go, human. Leave while you still can." But Daniel did not move. Instead, he stepped forward, his heart pounding. He knew the choice had already been made. He would not run, not this time. The night was alive with fear. The howl from the forest still echoed in Daniel's ears, sharp and haunting. The villagers outside whispered in panic, their glowing eyes darting toward the trees. Torches flickered in their hands, painting the camp with trembling shadows. Daniel stood firm, his weapon drawn. He had fought enemies before, but he had never felt this strange mix of duty and confusion. He was a stranger here, yet somehow the weight of these people's survival pressed on his shoulders. Inside the shelter, the alien mother tried to rise, her weak body trembling. The child clung to her, whispering, "Stay, Mama, don't move. You need your strength." But she pushed herself up, determination shining in her silver eyes. She looked at Daniel as if seeing into his soul. "You don't understand what is coming," she said softly, her voice steady despite her weakness. "The hunters will not speak. They will not ask. They will only take. They destroyed our homes. They stole our bonds, and now they come for the last of us." Daniel frowned, gripping his weapon tighter. "What are they?" he asked, his voice low. The mother's eyes flickered with pain. "Monsters who wear faces like ours but hearts of stone. They live to hunt, to consume, and they cannot be stopped. Unless the bond is made." The words hit Daniel like a blow. Again, this bond, this strange demand that made no sense to him. He wanted to shout, to demand answers. But the fear in the child's trembling hands silenced him. The little one stared up at him, whispering, "If you bond with her, they cannot touch her, they cannot break her." Before Daniel could reply, the ground shook. Heavy footsteps echoed from the trees, growing louder, closer. The villagers outside raised their torches higher, forming a circle around the camp, but their hands trembled, and Daniel could see it in their faces. They had no hope. Then the hunters came. They stepped out from the shadows like nightmares made real. Tall figures with broad shoulders and sharp, cruel features. Their skin glowed. Faintly. But instead of silver light, it was a burning red. Their eyes were like fire, their teeth jagged. Their movements slow but full of power. Each carried a blade that shimmered with dark energy. The villagers gasped and fell back, some dropping their torches. The hunters grinned, their voices deep and mocking. "Little lights," one of them said. Still burning, but not for long. Daniel felt the urge to move, to fight. But the mother's hand caught his wrist, weak yet firm. "You cannot win by force alone, human," she whispered. "They are stronger, faster, more cruel than you." Can imagine? Daniel's jaw tightened. He had faced unbeatable enemies before, and he knew fear could kill faster than any blade. He looked into the mother's fading eyes and said, "Then tell me what I must do." For the first time, her lips curved into a faint smile. Her hand trembled as she touched his chest. Right above his heart, the bond. "It is not marriage like your kind knows it. It is a joining of light and spirit. If you accept, your strength will flow into me, and mine into you. Together, we may stand against them." The words filled Daniel with both dread and resolve. He had not come here for this, but fate had chosen otherwise. The child looked up at him, their eyes glowing with desperate hope. "Please, human. Please." The ground shook again as the hunters stepped closer. One of them raised its blade, pointing directly at the shelter. "Give us the woman," it growled, "or we burn your camp to ash." Daniel stood taller, his weapon ready, but before he could act, the mother's voice rang out, weak but steady. "You will not take me," she said. Her silver glow flickered faintly. Like a dying flame refusing to go out, the hunters laughed, their cruel voices echoing. "You are already dying, broken one. Why resist? Why fight? You are nothing." Daniel felt anger rise inside him, sharp and burning. He stepped forward, his voice hard as stone. "She is not nothing, and if you want her, you'll have to go through me." The hunters paused, surprised by the humans. Defiance, then their grins returned, cruel and eager. "Then you will die first," one said, rushing forward with its blade raised high. The villagers screamed, scattering. The child cried out, clinging to the mother. Daniel braced himself, every muscle ready, but in the last moment, he felt the mother's hand press against his back. A shock of energy surged through him, hot and cold all at once. His vision blurred, his heart pounded, and light exploded behind his eyes. He gasped, dropping to one knee, but the mother's voice filled his mind. "Do not fear. I will share my strength with you, if you let me." The hunter's blade came down, but Daniel raised his arm, and a shield of silver light flared into existence, blocking the strike. The impact shook the ground. But the blade did not cut him. Instead, sparks of light burst into the air, dazzling the villagers. The hunters stepped back. Growling in surprise, Daniel stood slowly, silver light flickering across his skin. He turned to the mother, who was glowing faintly brighter. Their bond had begun. The child gasped with joy. It worked. Human, it worked. Daniel's breath came heavy, but his eyes were sharp. For the first time since he landed, he felt something new. Not just fear, not just duty, but power. The hunters hissed, their fiery eyes narrowing. The battle had only just begun, and Daniel knew one thing with certainty. He was no longer fighting alone. The air trembled with the echo of the hunter's growls. The silver shield of light flickered around Daniel's arm. Fading in and out like a flame fighting the wind, he could still feel the mother's energy flowing into him, weak but steady. Every heartbeat carried a strange warmth, as if her spirit was now part of his own. The hunter circled slowly, their red glow lighting the dark forest like fire. One of them sneered, its sharp teeth gleaming. So the broken one has found a protector, but you are only human, flesh and bone. Your light will not last. Daniel tightened his grip on his weapon. His eyes shifted to the villagers hiding behind. Trees and huts, their faces pale with fear. They had no fight left in them. He realized that if he failed here, the entire village would be slaughtered. The child ran to his side, their small hand clutching his sleeve. Human, don't stop. Keep the bond alive as long as you stay with her. You are strong. Daniel nodded, though doubt gnawed at his mind. He had no training for this. No. Handbook for fighting alien monsters with borrowed light. But his instincts as a soldier whispered the same truth. Stand your ground or die trying. One of the hunters roared and lunged forward, its blade cutting through the air. Daniel raised his shield arm, the silver glow hardening at the last moment. The blade struck, sparks bursting, and the force threw him back into the dirt. Pain shot through his body, but the shield held. The villagers gasped. The mother reached out with her trembling hand, her glow flickering brighter. Stand, human, she whispered. Do not let them break you. Daniel forced himself up, spitting blood from his lip. The hunter laughed, its fiery eyes filled with hunger. You are stronger than the others we killed. But you will break. All light breaks in the end. Daniel's anger burned. He had seen creatures like this before, not in shape, but in spirit, cruel beings who fed on fear, who thought strength meant crushing the weak. He would not let them win. The second hunter stepped forward, its deep voice echoing. Do you know what we are? Human. We are your shadow. We are the broken bonds your kind left behind. The words struck Daniel like a blow. What do you mean? He demanded, but the hunter only grinned, sharp teeth glinting in the firelight. You will know soon when your bond burns you alive. Before Daniel could reply, the hunter charged. This time Daniel moved faster, the silver energy burning. Through his veins like fire, he swung his weapon, and to his shock, the blade glowed with silver light. When steel met the hunter's red skin, sparks exploded and the creature howled in pain. The villagers gasped, whispering in awe. The child cried out with joy. It hurts them. Human light hurts them. Daniel's chest heaved as he realized the truth. The hunters were strong, but the bond gave him the power to fight back. Not just survive fight, but the mother's voice echoed in his mind. Weak and soft. Be careful. Every strike you make takes from my life. If you burn too bright, I will fade faster. Daniel's heart twisted. He looked back and saw her slumped against the bed of moss, her glow dimming. She was giving him everything she had, even though it meant her strength was vanishing. He felt torn between battle and mercy, but he knew there was no choice if he stopped. Everyone here would die. The first hunter roared again. Slamming its blade against Daniel's shield, the second circled around, its eyes burning with hate. The two attacked together, their strikes heavy and merciless. Each blow shook Daniel's bones. Each step pushed him closer to collapse, yet he stood. Every time he wanted to fall, he felt the child's small hand clutching his arm. Every time his shield cracked, he saw the villagers watching, their hope resting on him. He remembered the voices of children from long ago, the ones he couldn't save in the war. Not this time, he told himself. Not this time. With a roar, Daniel pushed forward, silver energy blazing around his weapon. He struck hard, driving the hunters back step by step. His blade cut through one of their arms, the wound glowing like molten fire. The creature howled, retreating. For the first time, the hunters looked uncertain, but they did not retreat. Instead, one of them grinned through the pain. Good human. The brighter you burn, the faster she dies. Keep fighting. And you will kill the very one you wish to save. Daniel froze, his chest tightening. Was it true? Every burst of power, every strike, was it draining her life away? He turned his head and his heart sank. The mother was pale, her glow dimming like a candle in the wind. Her eyes met his, soft and calm despite her fading strength. "Don't. Stop, human," she whispered. "My life is only one, but theirs. All of theirs. Depend on you." The child shook their head, tears falling. "No, Mama. Don't say that. He can save you. He can save all of us." Daniel's hands trembled on his weapon. He had faced choices before. Ugly choices where someone had to die, but never like this. Never with the weight of a world pressing on him. The hunters laughed, their cruel voices filling the night. Choose. Human, save the broken one, or save the village. Either way, you lose. Daniel gritted his teeth, his silver shield flickering weakly. For a moment, fear clouded him, but then something deeper stirred. Not just duty, but defiance. He had never accepted the choices enemies forced on him. He made his own. He stepped forward, his voice like iron. "No, I don't lose. Not today." The silver light around him flared, brighter than before. The hunters hissed and raised their blades. The ground shook as the battle began again, and in that moment, Daniel knew the true fight was only beginning. The night burned with silver and red light. Daniel's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, sweat running down his face. His arm ached from holding the shield. His weapon hummed with the strange energy of the bond. Across from him, the hunters stood tall, their fiery eyes fixed on him like predators. The villagers whispered from the shadows, too afraid to step closer. They had lived under fear for so long that even hope felt dangerous. Only the child stood near Daniel, clutching his sleeve, refusing to let go. "Don't give up," the child begged, their voice trembling. "You can't stop now, human. You can't." Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to promise the child that everything would be fine, but his eyes flicked to the mother, and his heart faltered. She lay weak on the moss bed, her glow dimming with every strike he made. Her breaths were shallow, her body trembling as if each moment was her last. The hunters saw his hesitation and laughed, their voices cruel. "Do you feel it, human? Every time you strike, she fades. Every drop of strength you use is stolen from her. Fight harder, and you will kill her yourself." Daniel's grip on his weapon shook. The truth in their words gnawed at him. He could feel it in his chest. The bond tied his strength to hers. The brighter he burned, the weaker she became. The mother's eyes opened slowly, meeting his. Her lips curved into a soft, tired smile. "Don't hesitate," she whispered, her voice faint but clear. "My life was never mine to keep, but theirs, all of theirs, depend on you." Daniel's throat tightened. He remembered his days as a soldier, the terrible choices he had been forced to make, save one life or save many. He had watched comrades die because he chose the mission, and still, the memories haunted him every night. The child shook their head fiercely, tears streaming down their glowing cheeks. "No. You don't have to choose. Save her, save all of us. You can." Their tiny voice cracked with desperation. It was not just a plea. It was belief, unshakable belief that Daniel was different, that he was more than just another human passing through. The hunters stepped closer, their blades glowing red. "You cannot win both," one sneered. "You are only a man. Your kind is weak. Choose human, the mother, or the village." Daniel's mind raced, his body trembling from exhaustion. For a moment, he almost believed them, almost gave in to the impossible choice. But then something deep within him stirred, not anger, not fear, but defiance. All his life, enemies had tried to trap him with their choices, All his life, he had been told what he could or could not do. But Daniel had never been one to accept the rules of monsters. He made his own path, even if it killed him. He raised his head, his voice hard as steel. "No, I don't choose between them. I save both." The hunters snarled in rage, their fiery eyes burning brighter. "You lie to yourself. You are flesh and bone. You cannot hold this bond. It will tear you apart." Daniel's shield flared as he stepped forward, silver light blazing brighter than before. Pain tore through his chest as the bond pulled harder, draining more from the mother. He felt her weakness flow into him, her fading breath heavy in his mind. But still, he stood. Still, he fought. The child cried out, clinging tighter to him. "Human, don't let go. You can do it. I know you can." The hunters attacked together, their blades crashing like thunder. Daniel blocked one strike, then another, his body screaming in pain. Every movement felt heavier, every breath harder. The mother's glow dimmed further, her body barely able to move, yet her eyes stayed locked on him, filled with quiet strength. She whispered through the bond, her voice echoing in his mind. "You are not like them. You are not bound by fear. If anyone can break the chain, it is you," Daniel roared, swinging his weapon with all the strength he had left. Silver light burst from the blade, slamming into one of the hunters. The creature howled in pain, its chest burning with a silver wound that would not close. The villagers gasped, hope sparking in their eyes for the first time. But the second hunter struck back, its blade cutting across Daniel's shield. The silver cracked, pain shooting through his body like fire. He dropped to one knee, blood dripping from his lip. The hunters grinned, circling him like wolves. "You cannot save them all, human. You will burn out, and when you fall, we will take what is ours." Daniel looked at the child, trembling, but refusing to let go of his arm. He looked at the mother, fading, yet still fighting to hold on, and he felt the fire inside him blaze higher. He pushed himself up, his voice fierce. "No. You won't take anything, not while I breathe." The silver glow around him surged, brighter and hotter than before. The hunters hissed, shielding their eyes from the light. Daniel stood tall, his weapon blazing like a star. The pain was unbearable, but he no longer cared. He was not just fighting for himself. He was not just fighting for the mother or the child. He was fighting for every villager hiding in the shadows. For every life the hunters thought they could break. He stepped forward, silver flames dancing across his body. "This is my choice," he shouted. "I choose all of them." The ground shook with the force of his words. The hunters roared in fury, charging together for the final strike. The villagers cried out, the child screamed, the mother whispered his name, and Daniel, burning brighter than ever, raised his weapon to meet them head-on. The night exploded with fire and light. The hunters charged, their red blades glowing like burning suns. Daniel met them head-on, silver energy blazing around his body. When steel struck silver, the air shook like thunder. Pain tore through him, sharp and merciless. Every clash of blades sent fire racing down his veins. He felt the bond pulling harder, draining more from the mother. But he refused to stop. Not while the villagers watched, not while the child clung to him, not while life still burned in his chest. The hunters pushed with monstrous strength, their voices filled with cruel laughter. "You shine bright," human one sneered, "but stars always burn out." Daniel gritted his teeth, shoving back with all his strength. The silver shield flared, blinding the creature for a heartbeat. Daniel struck, his blade cutting deep into its chest. A scream tore through the night, and the hunter staggered back, its red glow flickering. The villagers gasped, their fear shifting into awe. The child cried out in joy. He hurt them again. Human light hurts them, But Daniel's knees shook, his breath ragged. The bond was tearing him apart through the connection. He felt the mother's weakness flooding into him. Every wound he gave the hunters seemed to cut her deeper. She was fading faster now. Her voice echoed inside his mind, faint but steady. Don't stop, human. Your strength is their strength, even if it ends me. You must fight. Daniel's chest tightened. He had faced battles where victory demanded sacrifice. But never had he carried another's life inside him. Never had every strike felt like stealing time from someone else. The second hunter lunged, blade swinging low. Daniel raised his shield, silver sparks bursting into the air. The impact drove him back, his boots digging furrows into the dirt. The hunter sneered, pressing harder. See how weak you are? You can't fight without killing her. She will be dust before you cut us down. Daniel roared, twisting his blade in a wide arc. Silver fire burst outward. Forcing both hunters back, his whole body trembled. His vision blurred, but he stood tall. I don't care what it costs. I will not let you win. The villagers stared wide-eyed, hope burning where despair once lived. The child's glowing face lit with fierce belief. See, Mama? He won't give up. He's different. He's stronger. The mother's eyes fluttered open, her glow dim but steady. She whispered into the bond, her voice soft as wind. You don't understand, human. You are not only fighting with my light, you are awakening your own. Daniel froze for a moment, the words echoing inside him. My own. He whispered, confused. The mother's voice trembled, but carried truth. Yes. Humans were never meant to be empty. Your kind carries light too, buried deep, hidden by fear. But when you bond, the light awakens. Her words struck him like lightning all this time. He thought he was only stealing her strength. But maybe part of this power was his own hidden fire, awakened by the bond. The hunters roared in fury, sensing the shift in him. They attacked again, blades cutting through the air with deadly speed. Daniel met them with renewed strength, his silver light blazing brighter. This time it did not drain her. It grew, fed by something inside him for the first time. The bond felt equal, shared, alive. His weapon struck with thunder. Silver flames burning across the hunters' bodies. They howled, their red light cracking. Their armor melting like wax, the villagers shouted. Their fear breaking into cries of hope. The child jumped and clapped, tears streaming down their glowing cheeks. He's doing it. He's really doing it. The first hunter staggered back, its fiery eyes dimming. It hissed in rage, spitting blood. This cannot be. No human has ever held the bond. You should be broken. Ashes in the wind. Daniel raised his weapon, his voice strong and steady. Maybe no other human tried, but I'm not like the rest. The second hunter growled, its voice low and bitter. You think you've won, but every bond burns. Your light will destroy you in the end, and when it does, we will return. Daniel stepped forward, his silver glow casting long shadows through the trees. No, this bond won't break. Because it isn't built on fear, it's built on choice, my choice, with a final roar. He struck, silver fire bursting across both hunters. The ground shook as the creatures screamed. Their red lights shattering like glass, the flames consumed them, and in moments they were gone. Only ashes remained, glowing faintly before fading into the soil. Silence fell. The villagers stared in awe, their glowing eyes wide. Some dropped to their knees, whispering prayers. The child rushed forward, throwing their arms around Daniel's waist. You did it. Human, you saved us. Daniel's chest heaved, his weapon slipping from his trembling hand. He looked down at the child, then back at the mother. She lay weak, but smiling. Her glow faint, yet steadier than before. Their bond still pulsed softly, not draining, not fading. Alive, Daniel knelt beside her, his hand brushing hers. "You knew?" he whispered. "You knew it wasn't just your light. It was mine, too." Her tired eyes softened. "I hoped, I prayed that a human's heart would be strong enough." "And you proved it?" The child hugged them both, tears of joy glowing on their cheeks. "We're safe now, Mama. We're safe because of him." But the mother's eyes grew serious, her voice faint. "No, not safe, not yet. Those hunters were only scouts. More will come. Stronger, crueler, endless." Daniel's hand tightened around hers. His jaw set. "Then let them come," he said, his voice firm. "They'll find out what happens when you try to break a bond that won't break." The villagers raised their voices in awe, their whispers turning to chants of hope. The child smiled through their tears, looking up at him with shining eyes. For the first time in their lives, they believed the hunters could be beaten. And Daniel, once only a lost traveler, now stood as their protector. Their bond had not only saved them, it had changed everything. But deep inside, Daniel knew the war was far from over. The real battle was still ahead. And his choice had only lit the first spark of a much greater fire. The forest was quiet at last. The red glow of the hunters was gone, their ashes scattered into the dirt like dust carried by the wind. Only the silver light of the bond remained, faint but steady, pulsing gently between Daniel and the alien mother. The villagers slowly stepped out from the shadows, their glowing eyes wide with awe. For the first time in many years, the fear in their faces was mixed with hope. They whispered among themselves, their voices trembling. "He fought them. He drove them away. No human has ever done this. Maybe we can survive." Daniel stood in the center of the village, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. He was bruised, his arms burned with pain, but he still stood tall. The child clung to him, their glowing face filled with joy. "You saved Mama. You saved all of us." The mother, still weak, sat supported by the moss bed. Her pale face carried both exhaustion and pride. Her eyes met Daniel's, soft and knowing. "You held the bond when no one believed it was possible. That has not happened in generations." Daniel lowered his weapon, his mind still racing. He had come here only to fix his ship, to survive one more day in the endless cold of space. Now he was standing in the middle of an alien village, bound to a people he had never known, and yet deep in his heart, it felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. The villagers gathered around slowly, their fear giving way to courage. One of the elders stepped forward, their long hair shimmering like silver threads. They bowed their head to Daniel. "Human, your light saved us tonight, but the hunters will return, stronger than before. If you stay with us, you may die. If you leave, we may all die." The words cut deep. Daniel knew the truth of them. This was not victory, only survival. The hunters would not stop until nothing was left. He looked at the villagers, then at the child, who stared at him with wide, hopeful eyes. He looked last at the mother, pale and trembling, but smiling with quiet strength. His decision formed. Before he even spoke, "I stay," he said simply, his voice steady. "I don't run from battles, not anymore. If the hunters come back, they'll find me waiting." The villagers gasped softly, some with relief, some with disbelief. The elder bowed again, deeper this time. "Then we are not alone. Perhaps there is hope after all." The child's face lit up, their small hands clutching Daniel's tightly. "I knew it. I knew you wouldn't leave us." They turned to their mother with a grin. "See, Mama? He's family now. He chose us." The mother's lips curved into a faint smile, her voice soft but warm. "Then maybe my child was right all along. You are more than a visitor. You are part of our bond now, Daniel felt the words sink into him. He had been a soldier, a wanderer, a man searching for purpose in the silence of space. Now, for the first time in years, he felt something he thought he had lost forever. Belonging. The villagers began to light more torches, their chants filling the night. They sang softly in a language Daniel did not understand, but the tone was clear. It was not mourning, it was hope. A hope they had not dared to feel in years. As the fires burned brighter, Daniel stood at the edge of the village, his eyes scanning the dark forest. He knew this peace would not last. The hunters would come again, stronger, more cruel, and next time, it would not be 2, it could be 20 or 200. The child tugged at his sleeve, breaking his thoughts. Human, will you teach us? Will you show us how to fight like you? Daniel looked down, surprised. Fight like me? The child nodded fiercely, their silver eyes glowing. If we all had light like yours, the hunters couldn't scare us anymore. We could stand together, like you did. The villagers murmured in agreement, some nodding with hope, Daniel thought. For a moment, then smiled faintly. Then we'll start tomorrow. If you're willing to fight, I'll teach you. Not just to fight, but to stand even when the world wants you broken. The child grinned. And even the tired mother's lips curved into a hopeful smile. The villagers bowed their heads, the first sparks of courage lighting their hearts. The night grew calmer, the stars above glittering like diamonds scattered across the sky. Daniel stood with the villagers, the child at his side, the mother watching with quiet strength. He felt the bond pulsing softly, not draining, not fading, alive, steady, shared. For the first time in years, Daniel believed in something bigger than survival. He believed in the chance to build, to protect, to fight for more than himself. The mother's voice reached him softly. Her words carried on the bond. You came to us by chance, human. But maybe there are no accidents. Maybe the stars brought you here for a reason. Daniel looked out into the dark forest where the hunters had vanished. His jaw tightened, his heart steady. Then let them come, he whispered. They'll learn what it means when humans fight for more than themselves. The fires burned bright. The villagers sang louder. The child laughed through their tears, holding his hand tight, and Daniel knew this was not the end. It was the beginning. A new beginning. A bond unbroken. A war yet to come.